Hello and welcome to Dream It, Dare It, Do It, Live the Life You Want. Um, we've got another fantastic episode today. And today I invited a man called Dave Elleray. I saw him on another podcast and fell in love. And I said, okay, I have to meet him. Because I thought, his conversation was so awesome. So I invited him. Hi, Dave.
Hiya, Joss. How are you doing, love?
I'm good. Dave, for the purpose of the people who are listening to us, can you tell people where you are, where you're from, and what do you do?
Yep. So I'm Dave Elleray. I am from the English Lake District. I am in the English Lake District. And what do I do? I always find that quite a difficult question. I don't know, some people say I'm a coach. I don't consider myself to be a coach. If anybody asks, I just say I talk about the nature of mind. That's kind of what I do. And yeah, prior to that, I was a tree surgeon. So I ran my own business as a tree surgeon for many years. And knew it was something I wasn't going to do for the rest of my life. I always knew that. Always knew I was never, it wasn't my destiny, but I never quite knew what was, which caused me a lot of pain because I failed my college course because I took too many drugs. Good times, but not productive, not very productive. Landed me in a bit of shit. And then I ended up in prison at the age of 21 for violence. So I didn't really have many qualifications to fall back on and to work with. So I became a tree surgeon. Then 2013, I woke up and realized what I wanted to do in my life, which is what I do now.
And you like we spoke off camera on the previous conversation where we actually met.
It was lovely.
And that's what you like. One of the things I remember from that conversation, which totally inspired me. First of all, I didn't even know you were a tree surgeon. That's the one thing. So for the purpose of the Canadian girl sitting on this side of the screen, what is a tree surgeon?
A tree surgeon. A tree surgeon is every manly man's egoic idea of being a proper man.
Oh.
You get to climb trees with a chainsaw. You get to look hard and tough, and you get to be strong, and it all sounds fun. That's why I did it. I just wanted to be a proper man. I wanted to be a big man. And when you haven't got very many qualifications, it's like, well, what can you do? Life's always kind of brought me what I've needed when I've needed it. Yeah. Sometimes it's not been what I've enjoyed. But and forgive me if you hear background noise. I've got a Jack Russell. He is the most unruly little shit on the planet. So he's a law unto himself. He lives the life he wants to live. Tree surgeon. So I used to climb trees and reduce trees, and sometimes take trees completely down. To do tree surgery and forestry.
Okay. I had a vision of you with, like the mask and the gloves and the chainsaw and cutting. Yeah, exactly. That's what kind of showed up for me. But now that you've explained that, I've seen them here in Canada. We don't call them tree surgeons. But what I really liked in our first conversation was that this is what really stuck with me is you said, I want to help trees, I want to help animals, I want to help insects. And when you said insects, I kind of went, I'm the only person in the world who thinks about saving insects. And then you go ahead and I don't even say this. I don't tell people that I keep the spiders around. I just don't say that because everybody I've said this to thought I was this one weirdo. And then you're I want to save the insects. And I'm yes.
And don't kill mosquitoes or anything. I'll let them all go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm not there yet. I'm not
Took
on
me a
that.
while.
Because
And
they
midget,
love me.
they love me.
Yeah.
They love me as well. No, it was, no, you're right, Jess. I've always loved wildlife. Like, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking vitamin C's.
Is it? All right, okay.
It's vitamin C. Yeah.
Looks like something I clean the kitchen
It's
with.
not wine.
I thought it was window cleaner or something.
No.
Meths. I thought it was meths. Yeah. No, just before, in my previous life, I call it a previous life, I used to struggle a lot with depression and anxiety and anger, stress, severely stressed. I used to get a lot of facial tics and kind of Tourette's-like symptoms, outbursts, uncontrollable outbursts. It wasn't much fun. It wasn't my life. And I used to see a lot of therapists, I'd see a lot of psychologists. I was medicated. I was actually on the verge of committing suicide when a lady named Sue Hugenson, one of my best friends now, she's from Windermere, just up the road from me. She got in touch with me to look at a tree. When I got there wasn't a tree in a garden. Now, I didn't really know this lady. I met her once as a therapist before, but she was very expensive for me at the time, and I never went back. But 6 months later, she phoned me up to look at this tree, and she told me that the universe had contacted her to tell her that she needed to share something with me that she'd just come across, which was Sydney Banks. And I agreed to sit down and listen. I'll be honest, I didn't really hold out much hope. And I remember the first day she sat down, she started to speak to me about nature. She started to speak to me about God. She'd called it God. I said, I think what you're talking, back in the day, I had no kind of comprehension of what I've since become aware of. I said, I think what you're talking about is something that I call nature. I always kind of saw an order behind all of nature. But she was calling it God. Now, I was Christian, brought up, fell out of the faith pretty rapidly as I went through my younger ages, and then ended up with no faith as such. But I always respected nature. And it was about 9 weeks later, Sue contacted me and she gave me an arse kicking. She said, Dave, I'm phoning you up, giving you an arse kicking now. You've never done anything I've asked. You've never looked at Sid on YouTube. You've never bought a book. You've not done anything. All you've done is take from me. And I remember sitting there, thinking, shit, she's right. She's right. I didn't like that. I didn't like the idea that she pulled me on it. You're a taker. I was like, yeah, you're right. So that morning, I phoned up my customer. I won't be able to make it today. So it's about 8:30 in the morning. She was up. She'd obviously frigging stewed on it during the night, and I took the morning off and I just Googled Sid, and there's 4 videos on Sydney Banks at the time on YouTube, and I remember just watching them. It was about 15 minutes worth. There was something in one of the videos that Sid said, and I went for a walk. And it was on this walk. Well, actually, I was driving to a walk, and I just felt this urge to pull over on the side of the road and middle of nowhere. And as I pulled over, I got out of the car. I was with Rusty, my dog. A very difficult chapter of life was this chapter of my life. This was the point I was looking to commit suicide. And as I got out, I just found myself full of this feeling. I was just full of this feeling state, and it was whilst I was full of this feeling state, I saw a jackdaw, which is a type of crow in the UK. Little crow, grey head, bright blue eyes, beautiful little things. And as it flew over me, it looked at me, and we kind of caught eyes. I noticed it look at me. I was obviously something unfamiliar on its landscape. that it was used to. So I caught its attention, and it just, as it's flying along, it just looked down and carried on down the field. Off it went. And it was in that moment where I can't really explain what happened, but it was like, it was the second time that something like this happened to me in a very short period of time. This was the second time. I could only say, like, reality opened up, if I could say that. This was very kind of down to earth. My previous experience a few weeks before wasn't of this earth. It was indescribable. This I could almost talk about. I couldn't talk about the other one. Again, at a very difficult time. I'd just been in a fight up in Scotland, and I was walking home. I was pretty drunk. Fell down a banking. But this one was very ground-based, earth-based, here and now based. It was something I can't explain logically. There was love, and there was excitement for creation. There was total power, strength, unity. And in one moment, I went from where I was stood to a woodland, which is 2 miles away, and found myself present in there, only to come back again in a moment. These are bits I can kind of talk about. It was an experience that makes no sense to the linear, everyday, earthly existence as a human being, for me up until that point, and since. But in that moment, I became so aware that reality is an absolute consequence of my being. My being is absolutely essential for reality to be here. In a sense, I create it. And it was in that moment I realized the jackdaw was doing the same. And it was in that moment I realized the trees are doing the same. And the insects. And the fungal kingdom. And the bacterial kingdom. And all things are participating, for want of a better word, partaking, are all aspects of creation, creating. Reality is an experience, and all beings are experiential. Your little dog is an experiential being. Your dog has a very different experience to my dog, and I know that because my dog doesn't sit on me like yours does. Mine's busy fucking around doing whatever he's doing right now, which he shouldn't be doing. I'm guaranteed it's something he shouldn't be doing. But in that moment, I suddenly gained respect for myself, my being, and I fell in love with myself. I went from what I described at a time to a psychologist and to therapists. I used to tell people I'm the scariest man I'd ever met. I was unpredictable, I was violent, I was aggressive, I was quick to temper. I always had a hand in pot because I punched something. Suddenly going from the scariest human being on the planet to a really nice person who I actually loved. I fell in love with myself, and I realized at the same time I'd fallen in love with life. It didn't take me long to put two and two together, that the two are the same thing. And it was like I stepped from one world into a new world. I went from one world into a whole new world. The world changed in front of my eyes. It was more colourful. All the oppressive things that I used to focus on vanished. All the hostilities within me died, and I found love. Wasn't long after that I stopped being a tree surgeon. It didn't sit right in my heart to willingly hurt other beings that are conscious, thinking, experiential events like myself. I didn't want to hurt them. It hurts me. When we hurt a being, we hurt ourselves, kind of thing. And it wasn't the selfish, I don't want to hurt myself, I don't want to hurt other things, I don't want to hurt, I don't want to create, I don't want to bring pain into this world. Because I realized in that moment, from a man who was a hard man, I was a tough guy, I was built like a tank, and I used to intimidate my way through life because I thought it was my power, my strength. I thought that was my kind of strength in life. I could intimidate and I could get shit done. I could get people to do what I wanted them to do. I could have things my way. I look back at that now and I see that was born of complete and utter insecurity. Fear. I was a hard man because I was scared. I don't recognize that man anymore. But I realized that the most powerful thing that we all possess is what we're made of, is what lies behind the veil of our existence, is what lies behind the veil of our character, which is love. And I found very quickly that love cleared up when I was loving towards all my enemies, all the people that had pissed me off in the past. I visited many of them and just said, I've been a dick and I apologize. And they would say, I really appreciate that, Dave. I really appreciate you coming and doing that, Dave. I really respect that amount of people that were so grateful that I did it. One or two weren't. That was all right. That's up to them. That's up to them. The majority of people now I'm good friends with. I see the lads who I used to have barneys with in the street and in pubs and stuff and work. I see them in the street. Like, how you doing, Dave? Oh, I'm good, man. How are you? Nice to see you. I realised love very quickly heals things. And people, this podcast is about living the life that you want. Yeah, I started to live the life that I wanted to live, but I didn't know that's what I was searching for. I didn't know that the ultimate answer for starting to live the life we truly want to live is finding love within ourselves and then bringing it out into the world.
Yeah, because this is one of the things, this is my second season of the podcast, and I realize that people, when people hear live the life you want, they're like, well, you can't always live the life that you want, because sometimes you want such and such a things, and there's something outside you that, you think you can't have because of, so you really can't live the life you want. But it's almost like we're saying the word want, but we're pointing to something, and it's not necessarily an intellectual want.
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest, I think you and I had a conversation when we had our conversation, Jen and I, Jenny Anderson's my partner. She was Jenny Kennard. She had Three Principles movies and Innate Wellbeing with Rudy Kennard. Jen and I, we now help people find this in our own way. We've both come across it in our own ways, and it's funny, many people come to us with all kinds of problems. There is a solution, but it's not what people think. We're very tied into doing shit. We're very tied into being active. We're very tied, and active, working on things, working on ourselves, working on this, working on that. I often say one of my greatest saving graces when it came to me finding freedom, and I call it freedom our company is called Freedom Thinking. I was very fortunate in that I didn't have any preconceived idea as to what I thought I was looking for. I just thought life was shit. I feel like one of the biggest stumbling blocks for people is they have an idea as to how life should look. What it will look like if they were to start to find themselves, what that would look like. And, or if you want to talk about the three principles, what it would look like if you started to gain an understanding of the three principles. You know, many people, we ask them who have been around this for years and they're struggling, why am I still struggling? Well, what do you think it looks like? We'll give you an answer. The moment somebody gives an answer other than I do not know, that person has been misleading themselves. They've been creating an idea of what reality will look like. This was all just a conceptual thought that they've now gone, oh, that's real. That's what it will look like. So, for example, I've had somebody say, well, I want the freedom that you have, Dave. I said, all right, what's that? And they'll say, well, you're always happy and you love everybody. It's like, firstly, that's not true. I don't always love everybody, certainly not. And I'm not always happy. That's not freedom either. That's imprisonment. If you believe you should always be happy, you've instantly created a prison which will create discomfort and suffering. It will create more unhappiness. See, these beliefs that we carry around unwittingly, we look at somebody and go, oh, I want to be like them. You'll never be like them. You'll be like you. You don't, we're so busy trying to be like somebody other than who we are, we lose sense of our own authenticity, which is truly what we're looking for. We're looking for we're looking for a sense of belonging. We're looking for a sense of acceptance, and we're looking for contentment and fulfillment from life. Now, we look at people and we go, oh, they look like they exhibit that. I want to be like them. Biggest mistake. Biggest mistake. First and foremost, I don't know a single human being on the planet, I've never come across one who doesn't suffer from time to time. Get a bit pissed off with something, fed up. And to me, freedom isn't about always being happy or always being in a certain state. Freedom is acceptance, which is born of experiencing. Because I find the moment I accept whatever state I'm in, I'm free. I'm free from the bind that it should be something other than what it is. And in its own way, it dissipates quicker. And I've gone through some pretty heavy feeling states this last year or so, when I started being shown things about what certain things that are taking place in the world. I started to enter into some pretty heavy feeling states that I was quite surprised to find myself in, but there I was. Humbling, very humbling. Life is humbling. But from where it used to be that I used to enter into these spaces, and perhaps I'll be in them for 2 years, 6 months, 2 years, something like that. Depressions. This was short. I find it becomes shorter because there's something about discovering the nature of reality. You realize it's illusory. It doesn't appear so. Right now, it doesn't appear to be illusory reality, but it is. It's an energetic thing. It's all energy. And what we call energy, people, we say that word and then it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I don't have a fucking clue what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I can't know it. I know I cannot know it. And I know that the very nature of everything is made of something I do not know. So therefore, ultimately, the very basis of reality itself, the very basis of life, what is life? What is life? We give it words. Oh, it's an experience, it's action, it's this, it's that. No, what's it made of? It's awareness. What's awareness? Well, awareness is energy. What's energy? Energy is God. What's God? all these words that we kind of throw around, and the moment we throw it around, we assume we understand it. No, you cannot understand it. The very nature of our being, you cannot understand. Love. What is love? Draw it. Tell me about love. You can't talk about it. It's beyond it. It's beyond our intellect. And the very fabric of the universe is made of something we can't talk about, we cannot understand, we can gain respect for. And therefore, at that point, it's like we truly know nothing. And the moment we find ourselves in that space of realization that we truly do know nothing, it's like, I don't know, it frees us up from our concepts of what we believe. And then very quickly we find it was only ever our beliefs that we were suffering. And I feel like it's at that point freedom's found. And it's at that point that we start to live the life that we truly want to live. But the life that we truly want to live is one of freedom, not bound by our egoic ideas and concepts of how life should be. You know, I have deep respect for suffering. There's part of me that's excited because I know that when I go into suffering, it's an aspect of my ego that is coming up that I was unaware of, that the moment it comes up, it's actually it coming into my awareness to be seen for what it is. I undergo the experience of the suffering, the sadness, the grief, depression, whatever it is. And once that has moved through, which it will, because it always does, you can then think about that subject and it has zero effect on you. You know, everybody's running away from these dark feeling states. If we can understand that nature does not make mistakes, there's no such thing as a wrong tree. There's no such thing as a wrong blade of grass. No such thing as a wrong bird, a wrong fish. There's no such thing as a wrong person. Human beings are nature. We are nature. Everything is nature. We are nature. We must take ourselves off the top of that pyramid and put ourselves as a link in the chain of nature, reposition ourselves. You realize that nature doesn't make mistakes. That includes every single experience we go through. Nobody is a mistake and no thing is a mistake. There are no mistakes in this universe, just judgments.
So is that what you would call waking up? Like, that's what you said to me the other day. It's like, I want to save, I want to help nature. I want to help the insects. I want to, and that's going to begin with human beings waking up.
Nature would thrive without humans.
Yeah.
It's quite logical.
It's true.
If nature's not thriving, I think we need to look at ourselves. What we do to nature, we do to ourselves. And what we do to nature is born of separation. Because we even call it the natural world. It's just fucking frazzled my head now. Like the natural world, we're so separate, we call it a natural world as though our world isn't nature. You know, our computer that we are talking on now is an aspect of nature. It was created from the mind of an organism. It's like, you know, weaver birds weave nests. There's some amazing things created by other beings on this planet. And so everything that we do is ultimately an aspect of nature. Splitting the atom is an aspect of nature. You know, human beings just discover things continuously and figure out what to do with it after that. But I called it waking up. I actually called it was like, when I first started speaking about it, it was like my birthday. Like when I say birthday, I don't mean like, oh, it's a celebration. I mean like, no, it was the day I was 33 years old. And it was like I'd suddenly walked onto planet Earth for the very first time and went, this is what life's about. This is what it's about. It's about living. It's about experiencing. It's about loving. It's about connecting. It's about being here. It wasn't very good for my business because I very quickly saw the rat race. I'd lived a life of doing a job I didn't want to do because I thought I should do it, because I thought I should have a house, I should have a mortgage, all these aspirations as to making it in life. Oh, one day, Dave, you're going to make it. You're making it. You're on your way, Dave. Once you've got this house, you better sell this house. You better buy a bigger house, and then you'll be making it. You're making it. You're making it. I'm 41 years old. I live at home with my parents. I've never felt more like I've made it in my entire life. I made it when I was 33 years old. I stepped into the world for the very first time, and I realized all that was bullshit, distracting me from enjoying life. It was preoccupying my life. It took me away from the life I truly wanted to live. And then one of the things I said to Jen when we first got together was, Jen, I want to live our retirement throughout our lives. Jen was like, so do I. Let's work and let's have fun, but let's do the work that we want to do. What do we want to do? Do we actually want to do what we're doing? Yeah, we do. We both came to the same conclusion. Yes, we do. We want to help people. So that work has taken us, for the first part of our relationship, took us all over the world, working on all kinds of different communities, some of which couldn't even speak English. And oh, it was fantastic. But it was on a walk on a beach in South Africa. I was pissed off with the microplastics on the beach. We were stopping with our friend Jill, and we just gone for a walk. And I was telling you about this, Jazz. I was pissed off with the microplastics. Plastics shit all over the beach. And we're around walking somewhere called Table View. Anybody's familiar with South Africa, Cape Town, Maine, all that area. It's beautiful. After about an hour, Jenny just went, "Are you still looking at the plastic, Dave?" She got a bit fed up with me pissing and moaning. Should have you even looked up? And I looked up. I looked up. And the sun was just setting behind Robben Island, which is where Nelson Mandela was held. And Table Mountain was bright orange with the sunset. And Cape Town itself was just starting to become illuminated with lights. The sea was turquoise and these big waves were rolling in. It was just outstanding. And it was in that moment I just had this insight. If you want to help nature, the natural world, if you want to help other beings, you have to help humanity wake up to love. We have to find love. And it's that simple. We have to learn to change our minds about things. We have to first and foremost understand that reality is a state of mind. And our state of mind affects the world, creates our behavior. So as our minds change, the world changes. All starts with the mind. We can go into stuff that I can't really understand, and we can go into quantum and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the mind actually is, we know now that the mind affects the physical world. The mind is beyond things that can do things beyond what we en masse at the moment currently believe is possible. And that was one of the first things I realized after I woke up, or the minutes after I woke up was, I was just told that there are gifts within thought, within mind, within consciousness that mankind is not evolved enough yet to utilize and to understand. We're not evolved enough yet. But as we evolve more, our minds will become more capable. We will discover capacities within mind that will be for not what will look to us now like to be magic. They're all waiting for us to wake up. They can't come into our being until we've evolved. How do we evolve? Well, first and foremost, we must start to understand ourselves, because when we start to understand ourselves, we start to understand reality. We start to understand connection. We start to understand love.
You know, I was speaking with Mavis Karn. I think you don't know Mavis, right?
I mentioned a name.
Yeah. So Mavis is she's 81, and she studied with Sid. Yeah. And I'm getting mentored by her.
Nice.
And in our last conversation, I've been exploring this conversation for a while now. And in our last conversation, she said to me, she said, Jasmine, when you see something, when you get to that place, you see something,
Excuse me.
don't put words to it right away. Just stay with it. Stay with the feeling and let it expand within you. Because the second that you put words to it, you've just fucked it up. Well, sorry. But
I think you meant to say fucked it up.
yeah, that's what I meant to say. But yeah, and I really like, I love this conversation that we're having, because it's really touching this space. Like, I can feel the space.
The space is real.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This space is so real. I can never explain that enough. Yeah. What we see now is it's a reflection, it's a consequence of it. The space that we're talking about is more real than this moment that we're experiencing now, and that makes no sense to the intellect. But when you find yourself there, you will know it's true. You will find something that you will go, fuck, this is massive. Not in a size-wise thing. I'm talking about, because size isn't the thing.
Yeah.
It's not a thing there. It's uncomprehendibly real and perfect. And everything is that. Everything is that uncomprehendable perfection and real reality. It kind of, I feel like the way life gets so much easier is because so much judgment falls out of mind when we start to realize the perfection that everything is made of, because there is only that truth. And in that truth of only being perfection, there's not really an argument. And life just becomes easier, your mind becomes quieter. And it's that quiet mind that is just kind of present. It hears ourselves think. It starts to become more aware of the bullshit we live out of. Like, our ego seems to kind of come to the surface, and we get to see it well. And it's like you get to listen to other people, and you get to have conversation. You get to meet people for the first time, even your family. Meeting my family for the first time was very beautiful. I was 33 years old. Meeting my mum and dad and my sister for the very first time. Different. Without the story. Meeting a human being. Rather than meeting a character that I'd created for that, or they're like that, or they're like that. And dad's always this. Mum's always like that. Mum's is like just meeting people for the first time, listening to them and seeing my story that I'd lived out of. It was a fascinating, really fascinating time. It still fascinates me to this day, because I know that what I found on that moment, it wasn't the end. It wasn't the goal. It was just a new beginning. There is no end. The stuff that I know exists for humanity that I am not awake to yet. And that makes life exciting. I see this world now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. This world's going to change. And it's going to change quickly. And it's going to change, not because of things, not because of what's happening outside. It's going to change because of what's happening inside of people. It's already happening. since 2013, I have seen the community that I say I'm part of, the three principles community. The principles are just a metaphor. It's not a thing. What the principles are pointing to is truth, like many other things. It's just a conversation. But I have seen people go in search because people know it exists. They go in search for something. I'm searching. I know I'm fucking missing something so vital about this existence. I know it exists. Where do I look? I'll look in this book. I'll look in this book. I'll look in this book. I'll look in this. I'll look in that. I'll listen to Sid. I'll listen to Dave. I'll listen to Jazz. I'll do whatever. And never find it there. The only place we will ever find it is within ourselves, and realize what we were truly searching for was the thing that we're searching for. When people realize God, where did you find God? Well, you realized it. Where do you realize? Within yourself. Where do you realize anything? To realize, to make real, to bring into reality, to realize it. It's like to bring forth a new reality. If we want to change reality, we have to change ourselves. How do you do that? You just leave yourself the fuck alone. You stop trying. You walk away from yourself. The thing that's trying to change it all is an ego. It was a belief all along that we needed to change something. That was all it ever was a belief that we weren't perfect. We weren't amazing, that we weren't powerful, that we weren't supposed to be here, that we're anything or we're impure. Now, everybody, I remember it being one of the most humbling things, because I used to think to myself, I wonder if there's something special about me. And then I woke up at the age of 33 and realized, yeah, there is. Fuck yeah, Dave, there is something so special about you. You can't even talk about it. But it is at the heart of everybody else as well. Everybody is the most special, unbelievably special event. Everybody, the world is not overpopulated. There is exactly the amount of people that should be here because we're all here. And this world can support us all. We're all supposed to be here. We're all entitled to be here. We're all meant to be here. We're all perfect. The only thing that creates the illusion and the behavior, the consequential behavior is, or that the only thing that creates the illusion that we're not perfect and the consequential behavior of imperfect behavior, of whatever judgment you have about that, is a thought, is a mind thinking and believing, is a belief system that we've bought into, perhaps. Perhaps it's something somebody once told us, perhaps it's something we once read, perhaps it's something within our religion, perhaps it's something within psychology, perhaps we were given a label in psychology. I just want to clear something up. I was given labels, diagnosed with chemical imbalances. I almost wanted to say, fuck the labels. I'll stop myself. Fuck the labels.
Yes.
The fucking labels. They create an identity that is not who you are. A label is a description of behavior. Behavior is a consequence of mind. Mind cannot get ill. Mind is consciousness. Consciousness cannot get ill. Thought cannot get ill. It doesn't exist on a physical plane to get ill. It exists in an ethereal, energetic, spiritual plane, whatever word you want to choose. It exists in a boundless realm. You are a boundless realm, incarnated into a physical organism. What we call a physical, these are just words, a body. We're multi-dimensional. How do we move between dimensions? We think. This is just one plane of existence. If you look at the earth, it is an infinite realm of realities. just the earth, just planet Earth is an infinite realm of realities. Every single organism is an experience completely unique in every single moment. 7.7 billion human beings, different realities on Earth, just human beings. Every single one of us sees an entirely unique moment.
Yeah. Just
Create,
human beings.
just human beings. Then you've got your little geranium next to you down to the left. Experience, you know, it knows when it's moved away from the light, so it changes its direction. It's fully aware, it's conscious, and it acts. It couldn't do that without a thought, but it doesn't have a brain. Right, thought is not a consequence of brain. Trees wouldn't be able to think, but trees think, and they react. They are aware.
Oh, wow.
It's beautiful, and all as realities are going off this earth, new ones are coming in. That's why I say it's infinite, because in every single moment right now is life and death taking place. Birth and death is now. Creation and destruction are the same thing. Life and death are the same thing. Different shapes, different faces of the same coin. And I think going into that space and realizing behind life was one of the most freeing things, because I realized there was nothing to fear in death. Death's nothing to be afraid of. In a world at this present moment that's so desperately trying, you know, it's useful for some people to try and peddle the idea that death's a bad thing. I'm not saying I'm pro killing, anything like that. I'm not. Yeah. But I want, if tomorrow everybody woke up and realized there is nothing to be afraid of in death. You don't die. A body falls to the ground, or perhaps it was already laid down. But you don't die. If tomorrow people woke up and lost their fear of death, they would lose their fear of life. Because I feel like that was one of the kindest things it gave me, was I stopped fearing life like I used to. I don't know why we're so afraid of death. It's the most ridiculous thing to be afraid of, because it's the inevitability following birth. And everything has come into existence, has gone out of existence. And everything that is in existence now will go out of existence in physical form. That's the nature of the universe. It doesn't make mistakes. And it's all made of love.
Yeah, we're not saying people, you know, to stop feeling danger here.
No.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about,
no. You know, if you're crossing the road, look both ways.
Yeah.
Drive towards oncoming traffic. You know, it's like, be sensible. But I also feel like it's really tempting for people to find this idea of spiritual in order to escape human reality. But if anything, to me, it's the embodiment of humanity. It's the embodiment of being human. It's the gift of being human. It's the gift of being here. It's the gift of learning lessons. It's the gift of experiencing things we like and things we don't like. Each time we go into a space of some discomfort, it's an opportunity to grow, to shed, to become aware. When I say shed, I mean start to see the way the ego works, what has been colouring our reality, what has been giving our reality a flavour, because reality ultimately is neutral. It's always neutral. It can go either way, depending on how we think about it. It can appear either anything, depending on how we think about it. And this is why Sid said, thought is the missing link. Not what we think. Stop looking at what we think. Stop trying to change thoughts. You try and change thoughts, that's like, I often liken it to if the ocean is consciousness and the ocean is our mind, every single time a wave comes up, it's like a thought. They appear different. They come in different sizes, different velocities, and different shapes, different frequencies. But they're all made of the same stuff. So my thought of suicide was made of exactly the same thing as, do I want tea or coffee? Coffee. Have coffee. It was made of the same thing, my thought of suicide, my depressing thoughts, my angry thoughts, my worry of tomorrow, my regret of yesterday, all these waves that come into being, have their time, and then disperse, only to be replaced by a new wave. This is what the mind does continuously. It waves experience into being, into reality. And I feel like if we can start to wake up and realize that it is all one thing, all experience is birthed of the same place, that neutral space. The ocean can create any size wave, it can create a tsunami that can wipe out a bit of Japan, or it can create a little ripple. But the ocean has had asteroids hit it. We've wanged nuclear bombs at them, and we've not destroyed them yet. And I think when people start to find that unbreakable nature, you cannot destroy you. You cannot be destroyed. The body can be hurt, the body can be damaged, the body can drop, the body can die. But you yourself, you cannot be damaged, because you exist on a plane that is incomprehensible and is undamageable and is utterly perfect. And that plane is right here, right now. It's not somewhere else. There is nowhere else. I think if people start to get a sense of that unbreakable nature, they start to just relax. They start to enjoy their lives more and love more and connect more. That'll change the world. It's happening. It's happening.
Dave, thank you. I could listen to you, for another hour, but
Not been an hour.
Yeah, it has been an hour.
I love the sound of my own voice.
It was good. No, it was good. I hope that you liked it.
I love you, Jazz. It was so nice, and I love your dog.
Thanks. So just before we end, if anybody's listening and want to get in touch with you, what's your website again?
Oh, thanks, Jazz. Yeah, it's freedomthinking.co.uk.
Okay.
And we're on Facebook, which is Freedom Thinking, and our email is info@freedomthinking.co.uk.
Fantastic.
That's for myself, Dave, and Jenny Anderson.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm looking so forward to the feedback that people are going to give. I mean, I really enjoyed this chat, and so I bid you good luck in everything that you do, and hopefully we'll cross paths again.
And you too, you keep up your awesome work, and I'm sure we will, Jazz.
All right, everybody else, I'm going to say, hey guys, dream it, dare it, do it, live the life you want.